Making a difference. It's at the heart of Southern Inspirations. I believe we all have opportunities every day to make a difference. In our homes, our local communities, everywhere we live, work, and play. Let's dive right into today's Making a Difference conversation. Good evening, everyone. I'm Michelle Hill with Southern Inspirations, and joining me is my special guest, Eddie Applegate. Eddie, welcome.
Hey there. Thank you for having me here tonight.
You are so welcome. I've not seen you in so long, and I'm excited to catch up. Even two different states. You're in Georgia. You're my second person to have on the Making a Difference show today from the Atlanta area.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. How did I get two of y'all in one day? Well, Eddie, I really appreciate your willingness to come be a part of the broadcast. And I am, and I hesitate to use the word excited, but I am. I'm excited to learn from you, to learn more about just this, what can be so crippling and debilitating, and so many people live with it. My mother was actually diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis in her early 40s. So you got your arthritis diagnosis many years ago. And so I'm just anxious, and I am excited just to learn from you and to share with our viewers just more facts, some things to look for, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as you said, some of the pre-show notes. And I do want to take a moment before we dive in and just thank everyone for watching. We already have several people who have joined. So thank you all for tuning in. I have already dropped in the comments for everyone watching 3 separate links that we are going to talk about. I had asked Eddie to send me some links ahead of time for some resources. I have those loaded to pop up on the screen during our interview, which I will do, but I wanted you guys to be able to directly click on a link to find out more. So I've already dropped those in the comments. So let us know if you're watching, say hello, tell us where you're watching for, ask any questions. And with that, Eddie, I want to just dive in. Let's start with you just telling us a little bit about yourself. I shared your bio, but I always love to hear from the guests. It just sounds better coming from you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. My name is Eddie Applegate. I am from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So for those of you who are football fans, you either love me or hate me right now. It just depends on I know family watching. My parents are watching. Jim and Martha Applegate. Hello. Hey, Daddy. Hey, Mom.
Thank you for watching.
And hopefully a lot of friends. I have been in the TV industry, but behind the scenes, making sure commercials get scheduled. I've also been a trainer, training people how to get commercials scheduled correctly. I've been doing that for around 20 years, actually a little over 20 years in media all told, but not completely behind the scenes. I was diagnosed with something called psoriatic arthritis. That is one where you have psoriasis and arthritis, like rheumatoid. With your mother, with rheumatoid, it is an inflammatory arthritis, and it is an immune-related condition. So a lot of people think of arthritis as something that older people get when their joints just deteriorate, or something that athletes get after they've played years and taken numerous hits. But there are so many different types of arthritis and so many types of rheumatic diseases. So we'll definitely get to that. But I'm just a regular everyday guy. I love watching sports, like, as I mentioned, football, crossword puzzles, movies, reading. So I'm here in my office, and got actually finally put stuff on the walls in my office because I just started a new job. So I'm in my office, and I have stuff on the wall, so I feel very grown up on that. But I am 45 years old. You said your mother was diagnosed in her early 40s. I was diagnosed in my late 20s.
Wow.
So it hits in so many different age groups. It does not play fair. I will definitely say that. And so I'm sure that your mother went through a lot, and it's just not fun. But more and more advances are being made year after year, research, medications, treatments, and I am very, very thankful for that. I actually reached out to some other arthritis friends of mine this morning because I knew that they had. Did your mother have difficulties getting diagnosed?
Oh, yes, she did. It
So
took a while.
She was probably told, oh, it's just getting older. Oh, it's, women's problems. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's stress. Right. Oh, the flu. I had reached out to several different friends of mine. So thank you, Shelly, and thank you, Kelly, and Christine, and Shannon for reaching back out to me. I've heard growing pains. I've heard all sorts of different things. And my friend Shannon had said, I think that in the 90s and the early 2000s, it was tougher. And before, it was tougher to get diagnosed. But I always say this, I am a lucky unicorn when it comes to getting diagnosed. My story, I will go ahead and tell you, my story is very atypical of getting diagnosed. And that is because I got diagnosed quickly. And I got diagnosed by an urgent care doctor.
Wow.
I know, right? That, especially people who have gone through the arthritis cycle, whether with themselves or with a family member like you had. It doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen quickly, and it doesn't happen usually the first time because people, it seems like arthritis is one of the last things that they sort of get to. Mm-hmm. But I've been having some pains for a while, and this was I was in my mid-20s at the time. It actually started off with foot pain. I had gone.
Did you say foot pain? Okay.
Right around my heel, which I came to find out later is one of the symptoms of my type of arthritis is irritation around the Achilles. So when the rheumatologist told me that, I was like, well, that makes sense now. But I'd had pain, I'd had stiffness for a little while, and I knew it wasn't normal to have to soak in the tub for 20 minutes and take 4 Advil at a time, 3 or 4 times a day when in your mid-20s just to kind of loosen up. I knew that wasn't a normal thing.
Right.
So my mother was like, do you think that I could have arthritis? And she's like, well, you may, but you'd need a referral. But she had 2 really good friends who had arthritis, so she kind of knew a little bit about it. And so I went to the urgent care to get a referral. He looked at me. Within 2 minutes, he said, oh, I know what you have. You have psoriatic arthritis, and you need to go to a rheumatologist.
Oh, my God.
I had psoriasis on my face. So psoriasis, if you don't know, is a skin condition, usually punctuated by silvery plaques or redness, and it's not pleasant. and it populated my late 20s, so that was always fun. But and also in my nails. So another symptom of psoriatic arthritis is if you have pitting. These little almost look like little pinpricks in your fingernails, and sometimes peeling of it. He had seen it before somehow, and boom, he knew, and I was able to get into it. And this is the other fun part. I'm sure your mother had to wait a while to get in to see a rheumatologist, because rheumatologists are not, on every street corner like a lot of doctors. They're tougher to find. I ended up seeing a rheumatologist who had just joined a practice. So within a couple of weeks, I was diagnosed and seen by a rheumatologist
Wow.
Which is, as you know, my story is completely atypical. I've heard of people who have gone through for years with misdiagnoses or doctors saying, oh, it can't be that, it can't be that, it looks like this, it looks like this, because they're just not as familiar with arthritis and other rheumatic diseases. And when I say other rheumatic diseases, I mean, it's not just osteoarthritis, which is the wearing away of the cartilage, which is what we think of with older people and athletes. I was in my 20s, I was not athletic, I knew it wasn't
Right.
that. Rheumatoid arthritis, which your mother had. Psoriatic arthritis, which I have. Juvenile arthritis, which I'm learning so much more about. Arthritis was tough enough for me in my 20s. When I hear of kids in elementary school and middle school and high school, I mean, a friend of mine from college, Rachel, her daughter has juvenile arthritis, and we've been on some of the same medications. So I have this little bond with Natalie, even though I haven't met her yet. But I have that little bond with her. But also things like gout, fibromyalgia, lupus. Those are all rheumatic diseases. So those are all things that can be immune related. So it's something that a rheumatologist can really get in and really get you treated for. But I was able to get on a medication early. It's one of the ones that you see on TV all the time. I've been on 4 different medications that you see on TV all the time. I don't know if that's a sign of growing up or just not good. I'm not sure, but you're like, hey, I'm on that one. I've been on that one.
Oh goodness.
It's very strange. It's very strange. Now the first one, it didn't make things worse. It didn't make things better, but it didn't make things worse. And then I went off of some for a while, changed jobs, changed insurance. Insurance is the key. I will go ahead and tell you, good insurance, or no, how to navigate insurance is very important. And then in spring of 2008, I remember it vividly, I was put on another one of the TV commercial medications, and it's an injection. Now the first one was 3 of the 4 have been injections, and my sister just finds that just the most disgusting and crazy. Like, how can you give yourself a shot? Now the first one was an actual syringe. I did not like that. The little pins are much better, but that medication changed my life.
Wow.
Within a few weeks, actually having psoriasis and having it as bad as I did meant that I got to take a heavier dose at the beginning. So it started clearing up my psoriasis, and my psoriasis was on my, where I used to have a hairline, forehead, eyebrows, nose and cheeks, elbows, side, back of my legs as well, and some on my hands as well. So I had psoriasis in enough places. But at the time, I was leading music at a small church back home, and I had 3 steps that I had to go up to get to the podium. And after it really started working, I had several people say, oh my gosh, it looks like you're moving so much better.
Wow, good.
From going up 3 steps, they could tell.
They could tell.
It's like something I didn't realize, because kind of gradually over time, overtook it. You would just kind of like, this is what it is. And one of the medications that I'm still on has some fun side effects of the next day. And my mother knew that, because some of her friends were on that headache, fatigue, nausea, loss of appetite, something like that. So that's what a lot of my Saturdays are kind of recovering from that. So it's not all fun and glamour that is the commercial make them seem, but it really did change my life, because I was able to walk without feeling like I was 87 years old instead
Yeah.
of 30.
Yeah.
And because of that, I had this freedom. Like, wow, I'm able to do more. I can get out. I'm able to start exercising a little more.
Mhm.
And after a few years, that's when I decided, well, you know, a lot of stuff, good stuff has happened to me. What can I do to give back? As we were talking about earlier, giving back and helping. But that's when I started getting into advocacy, just a very tiny bit, and that's where my first foray into the Arthritis Foundation happened. And my first, I don't remember what spurred me to look it up, or about, I don't know if I saw something somewhere, but I saw something for Walk to Cure Arthritis. It's like, I can do this. So I begged on Facebook for money, raised a little bit of money, went and did my little walk. I was like, yay, I did something. I was like, I did something. Look at me. And they have 2 walks a year. So I did the Jingle Bell in December. And then I did another one. And at one of them, I met Jamie Johnson, who was formerly one of the directors at the Arthritis Foundation in Georgia. And he said, I recognize your name. You've done a number of these. I recognize your name. Thank you for wanting to help. And I said, well, I kind of feel like I have to. I've had a lot of things that happen to me, so I want other people to have this sort of good feeling as well. I want them to be able to be on the right medication. I want research to happen so that good, safe medications are out there for everyone. And so I got a little more involved, got to help, and then one time he said, hey, there's something coming up in Atlanta. It's from the American College of Rheumatology. I was like, well, that sounds big. And they were having an all-day little meeting with doctors and researchers, and it was about psoriatic arthritis, but who they also needed there were patients, people that have psoriatic arthritis. It's like, that sounds like me. And I thought that was great as well, because usually you figure that researchers are off in some lab in a white coat and glasses and beakers everywhere, anything else about it, but they really work. Like, those doctors were listening to me and asking about my experience with this, and it was like, wow, that's great. And while I was there, I met another person, Dr. Ben Knoll with the Global Healthy Living Foundation. And they have an option called Creaky joints. One of the co-founders, Seth Ginsburg, had another form of arthritis called, I want to make that say it correctly, ankylosing spondylitis, which is a back-related arthritis. And in college, and so he wanted to start something more patient-centered. And so he asked, hey, would you like to apply? And asked someone wanted to apply to be a patient. Okay. It's like, yeah, it's going to be really quick this time because we've got a meeting in a few weeks. It was very whirlwind because I was actually in Minneapolis for work and flew back in that Friday night to start the American College of Rheumatology on Sunday, and then within a month I was in Chicago with this other group to learn about that patient-centered outcomes was a big thing. And that's what really spurred me even more into advocacy, because I didn't realize that, although I should have, that patients aren't always contacted or asked as much about, hey, how are things going for you? Patients don't often have enough of a voice, and that's what they were about. They have an app called Arthritis Power where you can track symptoms. And this is one thing I was telling some of my arthritis friends that I was going to I'm probably jumping around like a ton, but that's just how I talk. I'm from the South. We start a story here, we go here, we go here, we go here.
We get back.
I'm just having an enormous pleasure storyteller right here. But what is great about patient-centered outcomes and patient-centered research is we know our bodies better than anybody else. We know when something's wrong. Your mother knew when something was wrong.
Right.
We know when something's wrong with ourselves, and we should be confident in our knowledge of ourselves and our voice, and be willing to talk to our doctors, whether it's about arthritis, whether it's about anything related to our health. I'm not saying go and Google everything and says, I sneeze, so I must have this. No, you know when things are wrong.
Right.
And they have, Creaky Joints has that app, Arthritis Power, where you can track your symptoms, which helps when you go to the doctor. Like, hey, if you want to tell the doctor, because how many of us get nervous whenever we go to the doctor and he's like, how are you feeling today? I'm good. I'm fine, thank you. And because we don't want to, cause a fuss. We don't want to, we think that that the doctor won't believe us. But if we're keeping up with it, if we're taking good notes, that's where our power comes from. Power comes from our voice and our knowledge of ourselves, but also our knowledge of our disease. Right? When I was first diagnosed, there wasn't as much out there about arthritis, or sometimes you'll see some of those academic papers, which I know that I have intelligence, but some of those academic papers I can't read those. I didn't go to medical school, so I want things that are written to a patient, and that's what that group is wonderful about. But I've also gotten more involved with the Arthritis Foundation, and we work with them, not with fundraising, but earlier this year, we went to the state capitol here in Atlanta for Legislative Day. They will usually have a couple of bills that they have an interest in. And so we went around to the different offices of a lot of the legislators and the people who were there that day. And I got to meet my state representative and my state senator. And I got to put a face to arthritis, that it is not just this group that you think of. It's so many more people, and my research and healthcare and all of that is so important to everyone. And so they work so well with that. They work so well with fundraising, on the scientific side, getting with researchers, juvenile arthritis camps, which I learn more and more about every time I volunteer, because we have a lot of the volunteers who are mothers of juvenile arthritis patients, and they talk about the camps and how their kids get so much out of camp, and they're with other kids that have it too, so they don't feel as stigmatized, and they can go and learn, and it's wonderful. And so that's where money goes to work with researchers for both of those groups that I've worked with, because with Creaky Joints and GHLF, Shilpa is wonderful of working with those doctors, and at the Arthritis Foundation, I've worked wonderfully with, I want to make sure I get everybody, right now, Kelly and Ife and Carrie and Kristen and April. So I want to thank all those people who I work with in those groups. I want to give everybody a shout out. And thank you, Joko from Creaky Joints, for retweeting about this tonight. So we're trying to get the out there. But it seems like this month I'm almost joking that I'm the accidental advocate. This right before this, I was asked by the Arthritis Foundation if I would be the adult honoree for the Jingle Bell Run this December, which means that I'm on the basis of it. Me and there's a couple of juvenile arthritis patients as well, and we get to be the face. And I've been trying to promote and give a different story about arthritis each week as we go through. Now we can't have the full, because normally they have the big full run in December. People will dress up, they will jingle. That's a lot of jingling on the December morning. Saturday morning, I'll tell you that. It's a lot of jingling, so it can be a little loud, but it's wonderful. People have a great time, and it's a great way to raise money for that research, those juvenile arthritis camps as well. It's just it's a wonderful. I've been lucky to work with two really great organizations. I've had with Creaky Joints, I've had my name on a published paper for helping with a survey. Like, I never would have thought when I was first diagnosed that my doctor would lead me to tell others about what it's like to have arthritis. It's bizarre, but it's good that I do have a voice, because people don't really understand. And even though the medicine has helped my arthritis tremendously, and I mean tremendously, I know that my parents stopped worrying as much once that medication kicked in, because I know if you're a mother, and so when your babies come home and they're not doing well, you're no matter what age they are.
That's
You're always mama. You're always gonna worry, right?
That's exactly right.
And so I'm sure that she did not like to see me limping around. I mean, I still have flare-ups. I still have issues currently, but I see other people out there who have it worse. They've failed on some of these medications and they have to try another. They're on, they have canes, they have wheelchairs, they have walkers, but they have a fighting spirit that rivals anyone. Mm-hmm. They're like, do I have this? Yes. Is it bad? Yes. Is that going to stop me from fighting for better healthcare, for better representation, for more research, for a voice, and how this makes me feel? Am I going to stop fighting for that? No. And that's what I love, because there's a whole community out there on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, of people who have all sorts of different conditions. And I've reached out to them before and said, hey, I've got a question, and I'll get responses from them. So one of the things I want people to know is that you're not alone. There are millions of people in this country that suffer from arthritis, and within the next, I think I've read, like in the next 20 years or so, it could be up to 70 million and that have some form of arthritis. And you're not alone. There's a lot of information out there. There are a lot of people out there, and to me, that's a lot of it. Sometimes is, okay, what can I expect? What's going to come next? A doctor knows the disease. A doctor can diagnose it, can treat it, but once you have it, those people are like, okay, this is what happened to me. This is what I have found. One of them was it seemed silly at the time to even ask some of my friends, but I was having the arthritis in my hand was getting a little much, and some of the pens that I was using, it was tough for me to write. Like I could tell that my handwriting was different. And it seemed small, but then it was like, it's just kind of, I had within a day, like, oh, this is what I use to put on my pen, or here's some pens right here. And even asked my doctor, he was able to give me some stuff. So don't be afraid to talk to your doctor. Go in armed and ready and know it's like, hey, I'm having this issue. what can we do?
Mm-hmm.
Where can we go? It's not necessarily always medication. He said, oh, here's some pins, and here's some exercises, and here's some things that you can do to adapt. And like, thank you. And it came from, and I almost didn't ask him. That day. It's like, is that kind of too minor? But if you don't ask, they're not going to know.
That's right.
Be informed. Listen to your own body, and don't be afraid to speak up. A lot of times you're your only advocate. So you need to speak for yourself. You need to not be afraid to, ruffle a few feathers, or make a few ripples in the water. Go, hey, this isn't working for me, or hey, I'm having trouble with this. What can we do? And once you do that, once you have that power, then you can start making some headway, hopefully. And if it's not the right fit, try to find another doctor. But I've been very lucky with my doctors as well. I know that I'm one of the luckier ones with this. Found medication that worked. Didn't have any trouble with insurance. Had good doctors. But it's not like that for everybody.
Right.
And
right.
That's why I advocate. I want it to be this easy to navigate things.
Right.
There are people that are just fighting for disability benefits. I don't have to go through that, but many people do, and I want to fight for them. Like, what can we do to make things better for them? Where's their voice? And the more voices we get together, the stronger that we are.
Oh, absolutely. Wow, Eddie, you've been through so much. I just love that you're at that place now where the things that you've been through and the mess that it created in your life, because it does. It creates, you're in your 20s. My goodness gracious, that's a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal at any time, but to get that diagnosis in your 20s and knowing that you had so much more life ahead of you. But I love how you've taken that and you've turned the mess into the message, so to speak. And you are passionate about bringing awareness, about advocating, just exactly what you said. And I love that. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for educating us. I know that folks are watching now. I often get a lot of replays. So I feel like some other folks that will come along and watch it. And I've mentioned earlier for you watching that I have dropped the links in the comments. You saw them pop up on the screen. So as Eddie mentioned, multiple times, don't be afraid to research, educate yourself, ask questions. I know that Eddie is available as well. If you want to just talk to somebody who's walking the walk, I know that Eddie is happy to talk to you. So, oh gosh, Eddie, anything else that you want to share before we wrap up?
I'm always willing to talk. Actually, I was on a work trip out to California several years ago. The sales manager there, turns out her son had the same type of arthritis as I did, so I was able to kind of talk with her. And so, if you think that something's wrong, if you feel that something's wrong, say something.
Yeah.
That's what one of my friends, she was told, oh, it's because you're playing soccer and you've broken bones and it's just that. And she's like, I never got better, and she was a teenager. So she's like, what am I supposed to do? The doctors are telling me. Turns out she had arthritis, and it was her saying like, no, this is not getting better. So take care of yourself. Be smart, be safe. Be your own best advocate, because we are our own best advocates when it comes to our health and it comes to our bodies. We know when something's wrong. We know that something is wrong. And I knew that at 25, I shouldn't have to groan and grunt that much to get in and out of a chair or a car. So
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Well, thank you again for just being completely open and transparent and sharing your story. I know that so many others are going to be encouraged just by listening to you. So I just thank you again. And I look forward to just staying in touch with you through social media and helping you continue to spread the word alongside those organizations that you're involved in. So we will keep on fighting the fight together, Eddie.
Exactly. Thanks so much, Michelle.
You're welcome. Well, everyone,
Everybody.
again for watching. Appreciate you supporting Southern Inspirations, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.